Imagine this. FIFA, the organization that runs this World Cup, officially selects a referee. He goes through every check, every background test, every approval FIFA requires. He gets the green light. He books his flights. He travels thousands of miles to America. And at the airport, US officials stop him, question him, and send him back home. A FIFA-appointed referee, rejected at the door of the very tournament he was supposed to officiate. Now, if FIFA cannot even get their own referee into the country, what else is going wrong at this World Cup? Because the answer to that question is something FIFA will never say out loud, and we will get to it. But first, 5 things that are already happening right now at the 2026 World Cup. And each one is worse than the last. His name is Omar Abdulkadir Artan, a referee from Somalia. FIFA put him through their entire vetting process and assigned him to this World Cup. He landed in the United States. US immigration officers pulled him aside, questioned him, and told him he was not getting in. Just like that, a man chosen by FIFA, gone before he ever set foot near a football pitch. US authorities called it routine vetting. Routine, for a man FIFA had already fully cleared. And this was not the only case. Iraq's national team forward Ayman Hussein, an actual World Cup player, was held at Chicago's O'Hare Airport for several hours. Officers took his phone, went through it, then finally let him in. The team's photographer, Talal Salah, was not so lucky. Detained for over 10 hours, then denied entry completely. He never made it to the tournament. These are not random tourists. These are people FIFA itself invited to this World Cup. When asked about the referee, FIFA's president Gianni Infantino told reporters that fans and officials should, and this is his actual word, chill. We don't control everything, he said. We try. The man in charge of the biggest sporting event on earth. We try. But here's what I want you to hold on to, because this is not just about one referee or one player. There is a much bigger reason why this kept happening, and it connects to everything else on this list. FIFA's official slogan for this World Cup is We Are 26. Unity, inclusion, the world coming together. But for millions of people living across the 11 US host cities, attending a World Cup match is not a celebration. It is a risk. From January 2025 to March 2026, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, arrested 167,000 people in and around the cities hosting World Cup matches: Los Angeles, Houston, Miami, New York, Dallas. These are not remote locations. These are the venues. Over 120 immigrants' rights groups issued a formal travel warning, not for a war zone, for a World Cup host country. They warned that fans, players, journalists, and visitors could face serious rights violations simply by showing up. Iran's national team, who qualified fair and square for this tournament, originally had their training base inside the United States. They moved it to Mexico, because players and staff did not feel safe on US soil. Stadium workers at SoFi in Los Angeles, the people who run the food stalls, clean the stands, keep the lights on, voted to go on strike, not over wages, over fear that their families could be detained while they were at work serving World Cup fans. Amnesty International said the US is facing a human rights emergency, and FIFA chose to host its most ambitious tournament here, in the middle of it. They knew what they were walking into. They signed the contracts anyway. And while all of this was happening, FIFA was busy with something else entirely. When the USA, Canada, and Mexico bid to host this World Cup, they made a promise. A written commitment to FIFA and to football fans around the world. A ticket to the World Cup final would cost a maximum of $1,550. That was the promise. Here is what happened. FIFA raised the price of the cheapest final ticket to $5,700, then to $10,990, then to $32,970. $32,000 for one seat at one football match. To put that in perspective, the cheapest final ticket at the last World Cup in Qatar cost around $400. The equivalent ticket this year costs over $30,000 more. Fan groups called it a monumental betrayal of the tradition of the World Cup. Football Supporters Europe filed a formal legal complaint against FIFA with the European Commission, accusing FIFA of abusing its monopoly over ticket sales. After the backlash became impossible to ignore, FIFA announced a $60 ticket option for each match, a gesture toward the ordinary fan. But those tickets were reportedly gone before general sale even opened. Supporters say they never had a real chance to buy them. And 2 days before the tournament started, there were still 180,000 unsold tickets across all matches. Empty seats, in a tournament that priced out the people who would have filled them. Infantino's response was that cheaper tickets would have ended up on the black market anyway, and that the money goes toward developing football globally. So the fans who have supported their countries for decades, who cannot yet afford $30,000, they are funding football development by being told they cannot come. Now, remember the question I asked at the beginning: why FIFA can't get their own referee into the country? Hold on to that, because everything we've looked at so far starts to point toward the same answer. But first, something that happened just yesterday, inside the tournament itself. June 15th, Germany versus Curaçao, a group stage match in Houston. During the game, the television broadcast cut to the video assistant referee room, the VAR room, as it does dozens of times per match. Standard procedure. Except this time, the camera caught referee Sean Evans making a hand gesture. Anti-discrimination campaigners immediately identified it as a sign associated with white supremacist groups. The clip went viral within hours. Organizations demanded FIFA remove Evans from the tournament immediately. Evans has not confirmed the gesture was intentional, but what made this worse was not the gesture itself, it was what came after. FIFA said nothing. No statement. No investigation announced. No response to the campaigners who raised the alarm. Silence. This is the same FIFA that plasters anti-discrimination messages on every billboard in every stadium. The same FIFA that has run anti-racism campaigns for years. And this was not the only incident this week. A Mexican trade association leader was filmed making a racist gesture toward a South Korean content creator during a World Cup match. The video spread across social media. He was removed from his position. 2 separate incidents of racism in the opening days of the most inclusive World Cup ever, and FIFA's public response to both, near silence. Which brings us to the final thing on this list, the one that ties everything together, the one that actually answers the question. So, back to the question. If FIFA cannot get their own referee into the country, if players are being searched at airports, fans are afraid to attend, workers are threatening to strike, tickets cost more than cars, and racism goes unanswered, why did FIFA choose America to host this tournament? The answer is not complicated, but it is uncomfortable. Money. The 2026 World Cup is the most commercially valuable sporting event in history. America has the biggest sports market on earth. The broadcast deals, the sponsorships, the advertising revenue, numbers no other host country could come close to matching. FIFA knew about the immigration situation. Human rights organizations wrote to them before a single ticket was sold. Amnesty International sent warnings. Refugee groups sent warnings. Player unions raised concerns. FIFA signed the contracts anyway. And this is the pattern that repeats itself every single World Cup. Russia 2018. FIFA knew about the political situation. Qatar 2022. FIFA knew about the conditions workers were building stadiums in. America 2026. FIFA knew. They always know. And they always sign. Because the World Cup does not belong to football fans. Not anymore. It belongs to whoever offers FIFA the biggest deal. And the fans, the players, the referees, the stadium workers, they are part of the package. Background. Atmosphere. The $32,000 ticket is not a mistake. It is the message. And the most painful part, the football is still beautiful. The goals are still real. The players still pour everything they have onto the pitch. Curaçao playing Germany. Messi in what may be his final World Cup. Moments that nobody can manufacture. FIFA did not build that. The game built that. And FIFA found a way to charge $30,000 to watch it. A referee turned away at the door. A player's phone searched before he could compete. Workers afraid to show up. Fans priced out of the sport they love. And an organization that responds to all of it with silence, or tells the world to chill. This is the 2026 World Cup, the greatest ever, the most inclusive ever. The tournament runs until the 19th of July. There are still weeks of football left, and almost certainly more to come. If you want to stay across every major story as it breaks, subscribe. No noise, just what is actually happening.